if you've been following me a while, you'll remember this summer I did a video on why I think kayak fishing is taking over the bass fishing industry. I had a lot of great positive points in that video. I got a positive response from it, and I feel like it was a great video. So what I wanted to do is do a secondary video, kind of follow up on the opposite end of the spectrum, which is why people hate kayak fishing. Now, I'm not saying people that don't kayak fish. Some of these may be part of people that don't kayak fish. Some of it is just from personal experience of my own, things that I don't like about it. I'm not saying I hate it, but there is some things that I personally don't like about kayak fishing, and I think kayak anglers in general could agree. Number one we'll get into is soreness. Now, when you're fishing from a kayak, more times than not, you're seated. Now, I can stand up in my kayak. They got a lot of kayaks out there that you can stand up in, but without that ability to be able to stand up, stretch your knees, stretch your back, stretch your legs, that type of thing, you can develop pretty sore back after a while. Kayaks have come a long ways as far as developing really nice seats. You know, they got these cushions and all that type of stuff out there. You can buy really whatever type of cushion you want. You don't need the kayak brand kayak cushion thing, but they've come a long way as far as that goes. Now, also with soreness, depending on if you're paddling or pedaling, which I used to do both. I started kayak fishing with a paddle kayak, an old Pelican sit-in style kayak, and you know, I paddled around. That's how I started. Then I upgraded to the pedal drive. Now, the pedal drive is really nice kayak. The only thing I didn't like about it was the fact that I got into more tournament fishing, and that pedal drive, I still own a pedal drive, but the pedal drive itself was in my way more times than not. You know, when you land a fish, you're trying to get the bump board down and do all that, it really gets right in the way. And you know, you're trying to set your rod down, then you got to have rod holders like this Old Town. I've got flush mounted rod holders right here. They're forward facing and they're really convenient. Ooh, thought I had a hit right when I hit the water. Another reason people don't like kayak fishing is weather conditions, right? Now, fortunately, with this new kayak I'm in with the Minn Kota iPilot, I'm able to lock down in a position, but wind is your ultimate enemy in a kayak. If you don't have, like for positioning, you're trying to position your kayak and the wind's blowing you around without a pedal drive, you know, you're kind of screwed. If you're just paddling, then you're required to anchor yourself to try to hold position. And it's just a constant battle, man, with the wind. So you really got to pick and choose the days you want to fish. Not always. This big lake like I'm on here, it has a lot of little bays all over the place where you can tuck yourself out of the wind if the wind were to pick up or something like that. You know, you have a lot of options as far as getting out of the wind. But not all lakes are created equal, and a lake like Lake St. Clair, if it's super windy, you're not going to see a kayaker out there when you'll probably see boaters out there. Another reason people don't like kayak fishing is it's more work. It's more work than a fishing boat. And what I mean by that is loading, unloading. Like for me, I have a trailer. So guys, I've been kayak fishing a while. I learned how to alleviate the things I don't like about it. So I have a trailer for my kayak. That makes life really easy. In and out of the ramp, in and out of the lake. I can just pull up, tie off to the dock, and throw my stuff off to the side, get it on the trailer, pull off to the side, you know, get it out of the water, get out of the way, and then pack my gear away. It's not just put it on the trailer, strap it down, and call it good. When I owned a boat, I could tuck all my gear away right on the boat. Hell, I could leave a lot of it out and get away with going down the road and getting it home and then sort everything out when I got home. Now, I have to really tuck a lot of things down, pack a lot of things away before I even consider going down the road. Another point I wanted to touch on, my previous bullet point, was the positioning. And again, man, it is almost impossible sometimes with a paddle driven kayak or even a pedal driven. If you're in a pedal driven kayak, sure, you can position better, but what I don't like about it is, you know, now I have foot steering, and so I'm essentially hands-free the whole time. When I had a pedal kayak, I'm always over here, you know, adjusting the rudder, trying to get over here, I'm trying to cast over there, I'm trying to fight a fish, trying to do that. And man, it's a pain in the ass. It really is. That's another reason I got away from the pedal drive, is because you can't essentially be hands-free fishing almost all the time, because you have to continuously reposition yourself. Now, it is easier to back up off a spot and creep up in on one, but if you're trying to turn right or left, forget about it, because it's not easy. Speaking of kayak fishing and the lack thereof luster, I want to talk to you guys about an electronic that I like to use. Now, I don't always fish out of my old town. I don't always fish with my Garmin live scope system. So there's a lot of times I will just leave this thing stripped down and just take it out, launch it, take a couple rods and go. So one thing I've been using is the Omnia Fishing app. The Omnia Fishing app is a really cool tool. It rhymes. It's a really cool app. So it's right here in your on my home screen. You click, and so you can see I can hone right in on myself. So it shows you right exactly where I'm at. And what's cool about this app is that it has multiple layers that are available to you. So what does that mean, multiple layers? Well, you can click on a layer for the map and it'll tell you exactly where the weed lines are on that lake. And it's really accurate, because I used it today and then dropped the live scope in and looked around, and it was right on point to where the weed beds were, or where the app said the weed beds were. It also helps you with determining bottom composition. It has a layer on there where you can click and it'll tell you whether this area of the lake is muck and sand, or muck or sand, whether it's gravelly, whether it's a rock bottom, you know, bedrock type of stuff. It gives you a full breakdown of the lake right here at the palm of your hand. Now, just because you may have a fish finder and stuff like that, the fish finder doesn't tell you these things until you get to these locations and actually start fishing them and you're panning around. A fish finder gives you a generic idea of what depth you have, and if there's weeds down there, you can look around and you'll find them. But you can really expedite your mission by using the Omnia Fishing app. I use it, it really helps me, and it's a really cool app. You can get on there and follow bass fishing pros like Seth Fider. He's on there, and you can get very valuable information from these guys that are posting their catches and the full information on the Omnia Fishing app. Also, it gives you things like wind direction, lake temperatures, you know, and it stays up to date with the guys that fish on the lake and upload the information onto the app. And again, I really enjoy it. I can see myself using this more and more, and even during ice fishing season, I think I'm really going to utilize this app moving forward. So check it out. It's the Omnia Fishing app. Look it up in the App Store, and I think you guys will enjoy it. Another reason people don't like kayak fishing is dealing with inconsiderate people. You know, there's always people that are inconsiderate about kayakers. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. I don't know why people with jet skis, it seems like every time I'm on a lake in the summertime and there's a jet skier, it's like his sole purpose to be out there is constantly do laps around me. You know, he could have the whole lake to himself. It could just be me and him out there, and for whatever reason, that jet ski is like a magnet to my kayak, and he'll burn right around me, go over here, do donuts, and again, I don't understand the purpose of it. And maybe I'm overthinking it and overlooking the situation, but I just look at the picture as a whole and I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, why are you've got the entire lake and you're being really inconsiderate to me on my kayak, just minding my own business, trying to fish. So it's not only that, I even dealt with it today, man. There's people taking their boats in and out, and a guy in a pontoon boat, I mean, literally blew past me, and there was no reason for that, right? He could have slowed down, went around me, and then opened it back up. But just people are inconsiderate just in general, and I don't know, I find it more often when I'm in my kayak, the inconsiderateness out on these public lakes. So another reason people don't like kayak fishing is you actually spend when you compare it to, you know, boating, fishing from a fishing boat, or fishing from the bank. With a kayak, you actually spend probably the least amount of time actually fishing on the water than you do any other type of fishing. You know, you get around slow. You don't have a 300 horsepower Merc pushing you around, so you're getting around pretty slow to begin with. If you're paddling, you're getting around at a decent rate. You know, a lot of paddle kayaks, you can get around good. Pedal driven, you can get around halfway decent. The motor driven like mine, I can cruise around pretty good, but I spend less time actually fishing than I do if I was on a boat or on the bank. Really, bank fishermen are able to spend the most amount of time actually casting a line, keeping a line wet, and that's one perk. So I do musky fishing, and a lot of times I prefer doing it right from the bank, because the spots I can fish, there's fish there, and I can just literally back the truck up, unload everything, walk to the bank, and start chucking. So when you fish, must be weeds. When you're fishing from the yak, you do essentially you spend less time on the water actually fishing. So another reason people don't like kayak fishing is lack of storage. Now granted, I have a really big kayak now. It's damn near 14 feet long. This is the Old Town Autopilot 136. I got a ton of room on this thing. But I still have to be mindful about the space I have. I don't have all the room in the world, but I've got to be mindful. You know, I've got my rod bag behind me. You can only bring so many rods with you, and I know you don't need 30 rods, and I don't take 30 rods. A lot of times, depending on what I'm doing, I'll take 2, 4, 6 rods, right? That's the most I'll take. If I had more and had the means of taking more, yes, I would take more, because I'm the type of guy that likes to have a setup tied on and ready to go, or multiple of the same. Like when I fish Lake St. Clair in the springtime, there's 1 or 2 baits I use the entire time, and I have multiple rods tied up with that same exact presentation. So if something happens, I break off, I snag up, I can grab another rod, boom, start casting. The same exact setup I've been using. So lack of storage. I mean, granted, again, this kayak has a lot of storage. I've been in kayaks before, like my first one, where, you know, I had room. I would tuck a rod in beside me. I had a flush mount, and then I'd have just one small little tackle box, and that's all I would take. Well, granted, I do enjoy doing trips like that, but I've gotten to the point now where I like to take everything, including the kitchen sink, if I can. Although that's unrealistic, but I just like to have those options, that's all. So lack of storage. I mean, yeah, you can get dry bags and put extra clothes in dry bags, stuff like that, but you know, you're just kind of stuffing everything everywhere and leaving your gear and stuff vulnerable, which leads me to the next point. You are essentially, when fishing on a kayak, you are essentially having to protect not only your life at all times, but your gear. All your expensive gear you spent all your hard-earned money on, you essentially have to keep that stuff under wraps. Like my rod crate, I have it strapped down to the back of the kayak. In case of an accident, I were to flip the rod crate, now my tackle would probably spill out. I don't have a really good latch system for that, but you can understand where I'm getting at with it. If you were to flip, and that's basically what I'm talking about, like when you're protecting your own life and your gear, is if you were to flip, because I have flipped. I actually fell out once, and I completely flipped the kayak and lost a ton of gear. Now they make rod floats, you know, and this is all just kind of extra odds and ends that you end up having to get yourself to ensure, you know, you're doing everything you can to make sure you don't lose any gear. I'm still guilty for not using things I probably should be, such as rod floats, but I hate rod floats. Can't stand them. A lot of stuff like my dry bags, they float, so if I got gear and stuff in there, like my latches, I keep my phone in here at all times. I do tether a lot of things, and we'll talk about that as well. You know, you got to consider tethering a lot of gear, like your pliers, your cell phone, you want a tether on that cell phone. Even like me, I got it tucked in here. I still have a tether. I got the Rogue Fishing Company, you know, it's I don't know if it's called the tether or what it is, but it's a little rubber gasket that goes around your cell phone, and you clip it to yourself to help prevent from losing it if you were to fall in, or you know, you just fumble around and you know, you drop your phone off the side. Maybe you're taking a picture of a fish on the bump board, that sucker flops up, hits your phone, knocks it right out of your hand. Well, if you have your phone tethered, you're not going to lose it, see? So that's really the most important thing that I keep tethered. I do have, again, tethers for the rods and everything, which I will snap on. But you just got to consider those things when you're kayak fishing, and it's just one of those things that makes it an extra pain in the butt. And when we talk about protecting your life, I mean proper PFD. Now, I wear an inflatable. This is a manual inflatable, so if I were to fall in, it doesn't automatically explode and keep me afloat. I wear this in certain conditions. I do have a regular NRS style life jacket where it's already inflated. It's kayak specific life jacket. It's got the high back, all that stuff. I will wear that in really cold weather conditions or cold water, where if I were to flip, I know it's going to keep me afloat, and I don't have to worry about not having myself afloat to get myself back on the yak, right? You always want to make sure you got the proper PFD in the boat. So those are just really some key factors for me when it comes, for me, and I know others, when it comes to kayak fishing and things we don't like about it. Now, this doesn't mean I don't enjoy kayak fishing. I enjoy the hell out of kayak fishing, and I don't ever really see myself going back to a boat anytime soon. With that being said, I really think if you guys haven't considered kayak fishing, you should give it a try. Get on a big boat like this one. Get on an Old Town Autopilot 136, man. This thing is the Cadillac of kayaks. It is more affordable than owning a boat. I'm not gonna say it's more enjoyable, but I do enjoy, like, I've been out here, I haven't heard a boat motor. Now granted, it's fall and people are putting them away, but I haven't dealt with boaters. I've had the lake to myself essentially, and it's just, honestly, it's just peaceful. Sure, there's things about it, there's things about everything that we do on a daily basis that have pros and cons. And again, there's pros and cons to kayak fishing, but these are just some things that, you know, I personally have issues with. Now, it doesn't make or break my trip. It doesn't give me a opposite opinion or a false narrative on kayak fishing. It's just basically some things I wanted to talk about that myself and I think a lot of kayak anglers deal with and can agree with, as far as things that are a pain in the ass for kayak fishing. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. Be sure to hit the like button down below. And appreciate you guys taking the time to watch. These crows are having a party. I'm gonna get back to fishing because I got like a half hour, man. And the wife wants to go to lunch. So thank you guys again for watching. We'll see you on the next one.